may think or feel that we have done something wrong towards you. But, there is more to it than this about what had been shared and that has been met in the eye. Aspies, however, do internalize some form of guilt for what is said or has been said to us in a way that we will process it and read it the wrong way. If someone was verbally abusing or accusing us, many of us will take it on board and will think it is acceptable. Yet, in reality it is not. We need to realize that no matter what has been said and done towards us, that we are not at fault in whatever situations we face. However, many of us need to feel comfortable and be able to express ourselves without having to feel any pressure of any kind. Yet, the way we are portrayed in the society today is that we are in a box, untouched and left behind. Most of us are blamed for our social awkwardness, erratic and uncontrollable behavior. Sometimes, what we say, or even our actions do seem to matter to some people, and do not to others. To them, we are doing wrong, when in reality, they should look at themselves and the bigger picture to what is really going on. I sometimes noticed that when something goes wrong, I try to fix it straight away, yet it may not work in all situations that we face or for some people. I believe that when we do try to fix or solve a problem, there will always be more than one way to fix it. Sometimes, many Aspies do not know what really is going on, as some people tend to not tell us. Do not get me wrong, as I am not trying to criticize or anybody. I am just sharing my life experiences and what I have been through and dealt with in the past, even till today. Sometimes, if we did something wrong as Aspies, there will be a profound sense of confusion and misunderstanding. Guilt would then start to creep in our mind. Sometimes, in order to deal with this, we need to reprogram everything that we have been taught and learned and start over again. Sometimes, it feels like a script or a movie to be acted. There are times when this happens, that I used to think how to act or react to these situations when they arise. When some situations arose, I got told to shut up and do as I was told. I am starting to learn that wasn't an acceptable behavior. Again, this was still not understood by many, why I was acting that way. Hence, when those situations arose, I managed to just steer clear of socializing and contacting people. Sometimes, many of us Aspies do tend to project ourselves on others, that how and what we react to is on purpose or by mistake. Sometimes, families, communities and more, out of ignorance or jealousy, will accuse us Aspies of faking some reactions and will be labeled as drawing attention or seeking attention for themselves. Yet, some of the family members, however, tend to take the blame for the type of behavior we are showing towards others, even when it gets so hostile. At some days and stages of my life, I felt that I was living in a controlled environment that was hard for me to understand and reaching out to some people I can trust and turn to, when I need them. Everything I said and did was being watched with every move I made, and sometimes, I felt that I could not breathe or be myself. I felt like I was living in some sort of fantasy world or horror movie of some kind. Everything I did never seemed right in other people's eye and understanding. Sometimes, I was told, I would get out it easier than others, yet many of us Aspies do not get out of it that easy. This sort of feeling keeps recurring, and many of us Aspies tend to take the blame harder than anyone else to what is done or said wrong in the first place. I sometimes feel that, when the taking of blame recurs, I try all I can to do everything better. Every time in my life, a few people have come and go. This is okay. I have learned that people are only there for a season and a reason. People are like flowers, their petals fall off and dry out. Many people do tend to walk out for whatever reasons it may be. I got told by others that, Karen, you are strong, you will be fine. The list of some behavioral problems I have discussed or wrote so far, as well to what I have shown, is fear of change, emotional immaturity and insecurity, obsessive behavior and need for control. With some of those I mentioned, I am getting better as well as changing how I talk and think. Some of my burdens are now lifted, yet some people may pick out my faults. But, I turn them to my advantages. I know that some situations will test me in everything that I do, and sometimes, will test me to the extreme, where I will have a meltdown, social anxiety attacks and more. Yet, there will always be some internalization of blame that we take on board. Aspies do tend to feel guilty for other reasons in our own way of thinking, etc. We may look normal to many NTS. We are often smarter than others, as many people tell us to deal with it, or get over it. Most of us wish we could look normal. Men have their own pressures, yet many of us women are expected by the society to be capable, multi-takers, high heel wearers and have coyness of manners and etiquette. This falls in our own way to act towards people, as what and how we project ourselves will determine what we are. Advice for Aspie girls and young women. We need to remember that whenever something happens, we are not at fault and are not always in control of it. We are a blessing, not a curse. We are unique and special. We are talented and gifted in our own very way. Yet, if we do not know what talent we have got, we can always seek out what we enjoy, and work on something along those lines. Aspies are known for their talents in creativity, imagination, style, and flair. Be not to let anyone else tell you otherwise. Some of our family and friends may read and research about AS and support us 100% or not at all, and that is their choice. Some people may not even lift a finger to try and at least understand us. Some people may say that you have it all figured out, yet again acceptance, reassurance, patience, and empathy are still required daily, from others around us. Most of all, some of us Aspies do not ask for much at all from others if they wanted help or just to be heard or listened to, due to the fear of rejection, unknown, being belittled about what we think or say and more. Some people may not want to hear about our challenges, setbacks and more of what we have to face every day, as it is probably too much for them to handle. We then tend to face all of these on our own, and this sometimes will lead to assumptions and misunderstandings from both parties. If you do not know how or what we are feeling at the time, stop assuming that we are okay and ask us. You might as well include us in some social activities that you are doing at the time. We need to remember that no matter who we have met in our lives, we all have good and bad traits, as we are not perfect, no one is, to be honest. It does not help sometimes when some people that we meet or socialize with think it is okay to keep pointing the finger and picking at our faults, or just pick what they like about us and use that for their advantage in some ways. Most of us Aspies will have some good qualities that maybe others can learn from. Some people may see good in us. We need to turn our faults, flares, and imperfections into our advantages, and accept some of those we can and cannot change. With these bad imperfections, faults and flares, we can always strive to do better. Sometimes, there will be some people in our lives and social circle that will come in and take advantage of us for an open invitation to see these weaknesses of ours, to criticize, bully us and more. Yet, how we take it will be up to us. In the end, it will determine the outcome, despite leaving us emotional scars and more, as some of it may take longer to heal. Some people who come into our lives may praise us, and then next minute, they are breathing down our necks or even just laughing at us behind closed doors. We need to believe strongly in ourselves, that we can do anything, and know in our hearts that there will be some people that will come in and will show that they care for us, and not everyone is the same to how they treat us. We are special, and that we do have some unique qualities and talents that we can bring with us to share with others. We can bring encouragement and light to others in their darkest moments. We are all here for a reason and a purpose in our lives to fulfill it, as well as our destiny. As I have grown older, what I have been through has made me stronger and made me to the person who I am today. If there were many changes going on in our lives, we need to just find a way to accept it and adapt to that change. For example, if we were moving out of a house and that we need to renovate a room, to make it a calm and peaceful place for us when situations we face may be too overwhelming for us. We need to have family support through everything that we face, as well as some friends or people we can trust and call as friends. We need to be kind and loving to ourselves first and foremost, before giving out what we can for others around us. Advice for the parents. Do not blame anyone about your daughter being an Aspie. Sometimes, many parents do tend to take a lot to do their job as a parent. You have a gift and a blessing on your hands. Be patient. Do not think that everything is perfect. Take it one day and step at a time to get to know her. You have no control over her decisions to what she will do when she goes through some situations, as well as the outcomes that will come with it in life. Be there to support her through everything that she is and will go through in her life. Accept her and her decisions that she makes. She may need her space to fend for herself, yet nurture her in the form of food, understanding, love, and safety. She may have enough feelings of blame, guilt, and confusion in her life, and this should not take part in her life or have a legacy in her life. Most assuredly, there are other parts of the psychological condition and behavior as many still think. Embrace her and her differences, allow her to be herself and find out what makes her tick and more. Allow her to make mistakes now and again, so she can learn from those mistakes. Try being in her shoes and keep the communication line open for the both of you, so that she can realize and trust that there will be someone there to talk to, no matter what it is, and how big or small it is. Validation in a female Aspie. Approval or confirmation needed or required. There are different definitions of validation, as well as many other terms that we look for here. I would define it as authenticating, verifying and seeking of one's approval or confirmation that is required for others to continue what has been said and to be done at that moment. Sometimes, I feel time is our enemy. This will also depend on the intensity and type of situation that we are facing as an AS. Yet, for many of us, some people may think it is out of the ordinary, or not normal, due to the lack of understanding and knowledge. But for us Aspies, many of us may feel embarrassed, ashamed, nervous or sorry, as well as other mixed feelings in between to what we think and how we think. It is okay to feel the way we do and that we should not have to have anyone to tell us otherwise to act differently. We are who we are and what we are. Sometimes, when this arises for some of us Aspies, we feel the need to explain ourselves to others of our behaviors or attitudes toward whatever we are facing or whoever we are talking to. We should not have to, and the other person we are with should be able to understand us when we share what is on our mind, heart, as well to how we may feel. This can go with me too of what is shared in this example, as everything happens for a reason. Sometimes, we may not like the reasons it is happening and how it is happening, yet we need to accept any differences or changes around us as best as we can. Some people may think it is not normal to feel this way, but it is okay to feel that way. In some circumstance that will arise, we need to just be as prepared as we can be, and it is up to us how to react to that situation. What we do and say may determine the outcome of our future. There are always some repercussions or punishments of some kind that we do need to endure at that time. With what I shared right now, when I am in that vulnerable state, I am always not aware about me validating myself. Sometimes, it will cause frustration, anger, judgments, as well as misunderstandings. Sometimes, when this happens when I have been socializing with people, many do not wish to compromise or even come to some agreement when trying to fix a problem or solving it. Sometimes I feel that some situations that arise should be solved quickly before they get any bigger, otherwise will affect others in the long run, as well as in the present. I am doing the best to help people understand me and how I go about doing things and what I say, think, or even feel. I believe that, no matter what, we should be able to tell our stories, as well as writing our own legacy in our lives, so that we can be remembered for what we have achieved and more. As I said in the chapter under shape-shifting, I am the kind of young woman that will put my feelings aside, listen to others in my circle and put others first. Yet, that has been tiring, as I am getting told to do one thing or the other. To me, it should not have to be this way. Why is this important to me? Why is it that some people I have met tend to have the tendency to assume the worst out of me? I guess it is due to the lack of understanding between us, and that they would want to pick out what they want like out of me. Some may have high expectations about me and what I am trying to deliver, but why be someone I am not? Many of us, however, do start to use our own understandings and viewpoints of that situation that has arisen. When this happens, many of us Aspies will then tend to get stressed, feeling like we are being ignored, as if the other person is not paying attention to us at all, and then start again to evaluate our feelings. We all do this, not just Aspies. We sometimes evaluate our feelings to the point where you may think that we do not the right to or need to feel the way we do. This shouldn't be so, and I consider this to be a negative assumption from my point of view. For example, if this was happening to me and that I am already feeling bad of not having someone to share my thoughts and feelings with, and again being someone I am not. Sometimes, there needs to be a balance as well as acknowledgement to let me know, yet I do feel sometimes I am a little light bulb that needed to be turned on and off, just to suit others around me. I do, however, like many of us, need to feel comfortable in my own skin and at ease, where I am and who I am with. This can sometimes pose as a problem for many people associating with me. Again, this is based on shape-shifting. I feel that when this happens, I am trying to do best to socialize, and I feel that I need to lock myself up, and throw away the key. When I am doing the best I can to do what you want out of me, do not throw away my trust, as this can cause so much grief in me. Many of us need to try and at least open up more, and also be able to remove everything that is negative, and go through as a positive. If I can do the best of my ability for this and you can do the same for me, then we should be able to understand more about one another. Delayed emotional processing in a female Aspie. My experiences with this problem. There are many people who do underestimate us, misread us, misinterpret us, and know more about us than we do about ourselves. When this arises, that is when most of the problems occur, regardless of what it may be, and many people just tend to ignore or to sweep it under the carpet to forget it all. Sometimes, when this arises, all the misunderstandings and misinterpretations are then being questioned and sometimes being ignored to how we act, say, or do things. How we deal with this may be different and scary for some of us. Yet for some of us, it's part of our way of life relating to how we do or deal with things around us. I have had so many people looking at me or thinking I am going the wrong way of doing what I do, but I believe that we can all do better by accepting each other's differences, and if there was different solutions to everyday situations, to go for them. I believe no matter who and what we are and what we do in our lives, we can make life easier, and with a bit of understanding and knowledge. Knowledge, they say, is power. This can and will go a long way for us all. I know for many of us Aspies, we do tend to be far away in our thoughts or far away into what we are actually doing at that moment in time. How we respond may be in a delayed fashion or manner, as well as maybe being inconsistent. Delayed emotional response is how we respond to different situations, as some connections for many of us are wired differently, as well as some information that had been gathered will be faster or slower to grasp and understand. This depends on what type of information that you will be giving us at that time frame. This also goes to our current emotional state of mind and well-being. It is almost again similar to when we go through these different stages and phases of meltdowns that happen to us, and whenever something we are going through around us is stressful, that we go to an overdrive of stress or panic. Yet, that is when our flight, fight, or fright response kicks in. Sometimes, there will come a time when we will go through the emotional shutdown stage because we focus on a task when people are telling us what to do. When we go through the emotional state of overdrive of stress, sometimes it's not pretty, as we Aspies will tend to question ourselves where the stress came from, why we are stressing, and if it was worth stressing about in the first place. Just imagine with us as computers going overdrive and that the computers need to shut down. This is what is exactly happening to us Aspies, and we will tend to close off or hide away our real feelings and emotions, alongside with our thoughts. Sometimes, most of us Aspies will then have an overwhelming feeling, and that we do not know where it is coming from or what has caused us to be in that state in the first place. So we will tend to look for every possible solution and make a decision. While that is happening, most of us Aspies tend to get so detached and have a vulnerable state of mind with mixed emotions at that time. Most of this time while this is happening, we are trying to accept the matter, and that it is okay to feel this way, as there is no particular response or trigger for that particular cause. Some of us Aspies may feel okay and feel safe, despite feeling so overwhelmed and stressed, which may lead to exhaustion and maybe a little bit of frustration. There will be a time factor to when our stress levels will go down. We need to remember not to push Aspies to the point that you will think that they are calm and ready, as well as being relaxed to do something else or something different to get their mind off this. Many of us Aspies will tend to reflect, rewind, sit down and analyze the situation by asking some questions, then we will find a way that we can remain calm. As we know, when many of us are stressed, we do not function properly and do not wish to eat or do anything. When this happens, some of us will feel that we are not in control of the environment and the situation that we are facing at that time. Yet, it does tend to ruin us when it's as if we are losing grip to reality of whatever was going on. While this is happening, another stage or phase may appear, which communication breakdown.